好，各位同学，我们今天呢很开心邀请到 Dr. Danny 来跟我们做分享啊。他今天要跟我们分享，主要是要讲这个在如果一个外国投资人在印度呢要做这个做生意的话，那在这个劳动议题上面尤其在劳动法上面要怎么样去做一个法遵？那因为我们这门课本来就是主要就是要讲南亚国家的一个劳动法的专论只是说我们常常会希望这门课能够带进更多的议题讨论那今天我是特别跟 Dr. Danny 说，请他就比较 focus 在这个部分来跟大家分享那 Dr. Danny 他不会讲中文，所以等一下是全程英文我会跟他讲，请他讲慢一点。好，大家大家如果听不太懂或者说有什么问题的话就 raise your hand 就举手没关系，不要害羞因为我大概就不做那个即时翻译，因为这样的话这堂课会拖太久。好，那不会啦，不要担心就是你们可以的就是我们要国际化，就是第一件事就是要什么，提升自己的英文能力因为你要拥有一个好的英文能力，你才有办法走出台湾。因为你要打开国际社会的门你一定需要这一把钥匙好，那我们就用这个热烈的掌声来欢迎 Dr. Danny。OK， Dr. Danny。
You may introduce yourself.
Sure.
First, because I did not know.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Okay. 大家好，我叫许Danny，许Danny是我的中文的名字，英文的名字是 Dinesh Kumar。Kumar 是我的不是 family name， 这个是both are my name. I know Department of Law they can speak English. I'm pretty sure. So today I speak a little bit slow. 因为有问题可以raise your hand and just tell me. 他们都是通英文，对不对 ？Right?
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah, fine. So today I'll take you to the presentation. Okay. We will have more discussion. I may ask you more questions. You can also let me more questions too.
Danny,
Yeah, sure.
Danny, interrupt for a little bit. 那个 Danny 是印度的，就是外商，他们有一个外商协，就是外商协会然后呢，他是亚洲的，等于是亚洲地区的一个负责人就对，就是他们专门是在对接印度的中小企业跟台湾的中小企业在商业上面的合作。OK。
As Professor mentioned, I represent the Indo Foreign Business Council, okay, which means it represents the Indian group of business people, business owners. They come together, made this organization to facilitate or help the Indian small medium enterprises. Okay, Chongxiao, so I'm the regional chairman of Asia. So today I'll be giving a presentation for you regarding the labor compliance for doing business by a foreign investor in India. Right. As you know, India is so huge and it's a very fastest growing economy next to China. Right. And we call it FDI, that is foreign direct investment. Okay. So there is foreign companies would like to invest. So there is somewhere around $67.45 billion happening in this particular year. From last 2020 to this 2021, there is more than $67 billion. And the GDP of India is somewhere around 11%. Okay? And the economy is growing slowly in India, so that more number of people would like to invest in India. It's not only from Taiwan or different countries, they would like to invest. So, as you know, why a foreign investment is needed in a country? Can you give me an answer? Why a foreign investment, generally why a foreign investment happens? Yeah, please.
Because you have more population and also you speak English.
Okay, that sounds good because as she said, Indians can speak English and we have a big population.
Yeah.
Why a huge population is helpful for economy growth? If you have more people, why it's helpful?
Low wage.
Low wages. Yeah, that's a good point. Low wages. We are equally more or less wages than China. Like I would say, 1/5 of Chinese wages is possible. Okay, and we can see the pictures here shows the GDP is increasing, the investment is also increasing, and there is also a growth rate. And one thing, if you see from this picture, this talks about largest youth population in India. Youth is almost like you, like somewhere from 20 to 30 is called youth population. We have large people. Why a country with largest youth population can help in economic growth? Again, if you have a large youth population, how it helps in economic growth? Any idea? You have more number of young people, so how it helps in economic growth?
人口红利就是对经济有什么好处？对投资。
我刚刚听到你的英文不错。
It can be anything. It's a good or bad, whatever comes in your mind. You have any idea? But if the population is educated, you can't give them low wage, right? Yeah. Okay? Yeah.
Because they are healthy.
Yeah, they can do any work. So true, of course, they can do any work, obviously. And any other point? Okay, so now let's imagine you have the people here, or young people population. So everyone can use mobile phone, right? So the number of internet users are increasing. Internet companies, so you can sell the product in online. So the company selling the product, they make more money. Internet company makes money. Okay, the phone company makes money. So again, the consuming, buying, you have more money, right? So you can buy many things. So when you buy many things, the economy is again increasing. It's more like a cycle. Okay, so that's where they think Indian youth population is very helpful for economy. This is one aspect. There are many aspects. Okay. The second thing is infrastructure. As you can see this picture of India. If you see this picture of India, okay, as you can see, it's a very huge country. Honestly speaking, I would say Taiwan is very smaller, something like here. I'm just keep moving here, right? It's a very tiny part. Okay. So comparatively, what are the sectors in India? Is energy, road, urban, railways. So these are some projects. They are investing more money in India, which is called infrastructure. We call it infrastructure investment. Do you know, in the whole world, India has the maximum number of railways, the longest. If you calculate the maximum kilometers the railways is connecting India, India is the very largest. Even in US they don't have, because in US flights are more cheaper. They can fly from one place to another place. In India, people still now, the major population choose railways. I mean the train. Okay, so we have more investment is poured for this infrastructure. Do you know what is infrastructure? For example, if I want to come here, if I'm coming from Taipei, I take the high-speed rail. Okay, and you know in Taiwan, anywhere you want to go, it's very fast to move. So if you want to do a business, if you want to do any project, it's easy for you to move. And from Taiwan, you can move to other countries also. This is all the infrastructure which was created in Taiwan long before. So now you have a better economy, right? So now any company from US, from Europe, even from China, they want to invest in Taiwan because they think the infrastructure is very good. So right now in India, that's happening. They want to create the infrastructure, but it's a very long process. Okay, and again, these are some numbers which says that how competitive the India rising global economy is. Okay, and if you see, these are some certain items, like this is in infrastructure. We are in the 57th ranking. Suppose in ICT, we are in the 32nd place. Okay, and health, we are at 61th ranking. So these are some ranking numbers I want to show you that India is not a poor country, but at the same time, it's a growing country. It's a difference between underdevelopment and development. Okay, underdeveloping country and developing country. There is a huge difference. Okay.
these are some different programs which happens in India. Still. Now today we are going to talk about this labor law and act, as professor is also her expertise is in labor law. And when it comes to Indian labor laws, these are some major acts which can be considered for learning. One is laws related to industrial relations, and then wages. You know what is wages, right? Pay, like salary, and then working hours, conditions of services and employment. How they have to be employed. Equality and empowerment of women. That's something very dedicated section. Deprived and disadvantaged sections of society. There are some disadvantaged society sections of the people. Okay, so how to assist them. Social security, that's very important. We will talk about some 4 elements. And the last one will be like employment and training. Now, when we have this discussion, I need more from you because you come from the law background. You can tell me what is the situation in Taiwan. So it will be easy to compare for us. Whatever knowledge you have, whatever you have read, we can share. Okay, right. Okay. This is something I would like to give a picture. If you see here, these are the states. Okay, in Taiwan we have something called Taichung, Taipei, Changhua, Chiayi, right? So we can call it as county. Similarly, in India, we call it as state, like each one, a group. As you know, for example, I've given some states here. For your surprising fact, each state here speaks different language. It's not just speaking, the writing is different. Their culture is different, the dress is different, the food is different. Can you imagine if I want to move from Changhua to Taipei, I need to speak a different language. If I want from Taipei to Tainan, I need to speak a different language. People also look different. Okay. Yes. Please.
How can you guys communicate with each other?
That's what British has done a very good job. They introduced English in India. When British people came for ruling India, they came for the spices actually, Portuguese and many European countries. They think, oh, these people are so much different, why not connect them? Introduced English. So initially people want to work for the British people, so they start learning English. Then later the whole community started learning.
So right now every Indian can speak English?
No. Again, what like as you can see here, every people in each state, they speak the local. And people more educated speaks English. So that's one thing, the people from one state, they don't move to the other because of the language issue. They want to find the job, they want to have the family, they want to settle there. That's a very good advantage of choosing the local labor. Okay, that's something very interesting for you people. It's more like, India itself is more like a small world. You have some different, section of people. So here, the graph here shows that the labor regulation issues, how much the issues more and high. Okay, the biggest line indicates that it's more higher. Okay, so these are some different states. So as you can see, the labor law is not even in all the states. I'm sorry. Got it? I mean, I say state. You know what is a state is county. Right? Can someone say what is county in Chinese?
Here.
Yeah. So same thing like here, like we have like different counties. So the ratio, as you can see here, is different because we don't have a single labor law for the whole country. As ma'am was mentioning, in US we have federal law and also we have state law. Okay. So in India it's the same, but again it's not so equal. It's something different. They decide we will have some 2 cases for discussion later. Okay.
So you don't have a federal labor law?
We do, but again, when it comes to the local, we need to follow the local policy.
But the local policy or local labor law cannot violate the federal labor law.
It's more like a standard.
Yeah.
Federal law is like a standard. Then the state law is very important when you have to file your taxes, file your company and everything. That goes to the local policy.
So there's no hierarchy?
Nothing of hierarchy.
No?
Federal law is important. We need to. That gives a basic regulation. But they don't. When it comes to for example, wages, choosing the number of employees, that all depends upon the local state law. I'll give an example that will be very easy to understand.
Okay.
So this shows that it's not even in India. Okay. So if you want to do a business in this particular, for example, Gujarat, if you want to go there, the issue may be more higher. But if you want to go to Delhi, I think you all know Shin Delhi, like a Taj Mahal, right? So if you go there, they think that, okay, if you go there, the issue is very less, not too much.
Why is that?
Because more companies have already registered there. So they have reformed. They know how to make it more easier. That's how it has been evolved. Okay. For today's session, we will have something of background, and we will see what is changing with respect to the labor laws. We'll focus on 4 sections, and then we'll have something called wage definition and workforce categorization, and then offences and penalties. Offences is like what all you're not supposed to do, and how you get penalty. Penalty is something we call like punishment. Okay. So here we are going to focus on 4 items. One is like code on wages, that is salaries, what are the codes, and codes on industrial relations, what kind of industrial relations will we be having, and then occupational safety and health and working conditions, and the 4th one will be social security. Now let's have some comparison with Taiwan and India when we have some weeks left. So here they talk about the existing, because the law, it's keep changing year by year. We have some very recent law for each state. They decide when it has to be changed. The federal doesn't say, hey, you need to change now. It depends on the local state. They decide when the change has to be. Okay. So right now they are looking for more transparency. Okay, as you know, India is a developing country. You can't find all the information in internet. Now they want to make it more transparent. Anyone even from other country, they can check how transparent the system is. They should know, as we had this case before, they should know what all the laws they have. Am I following it? Am I obeying it? Someone shouldn't say, hey, you didn't follow this. You can't do this. That will not happen. Right. Now, if you see these numbers, you'll be very shocked. For example, on the code on wages, we have from 4 law. Do you know when this law was first enacted? In 1936. It's still in practice. So 1948, the minimum wages, it's still in practice. So which means it's getting changes. The basic one are from these years. So you can know how many years we have been following this kind of laws and the same kind of rules and regulations. There are some changes, but the base one are from the year it was being enacted.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
For example, the Minimum Wages Act, and it's a statute.
Yes.
And only regulate minimum wages.
Yes.
Wow. How could it be? How many provisions?
Oh my God, we have so many. That's the thing. It's very complicated. Like we should have a specific.
But it's very hard for me to imagine how many provisions does it have in the Minimum Wages Act? Because minimum wages is only one thing.
Yes.
Actually, you only need one provision to regulate. But you enact a statute to regulate minimum wages. Why is that? It's just, very hard to imagine.
Okay, Professor. Like 20 years before, we don't have something called IT, information technology. Okay. So when some new industry comes, and when there is an educated population, okay, when they want to choose a new job, now they need to have a new policy for that. Okay, so certain things they keep it in a standard mode, and things get changed depends upon the scenarios. Okay, for example, now we have this work from home. So when it's had to be work from home, there is something called you usually have different benefits when you work in the office. But when you work from home, those policies are not followed. So if you want to take a holiday, the next question is, you're going to take a holiday, you need a rest, you're going to the next room for rest. So what is the point of taking rest? Take a 2 hours break, come back and start working. So it's not as strict as in Taiwan. Okay, so
but taking a rest has nothing to do with minimum wages.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, what I'm talking is when it comes to wages. Again, what happened? During the work from home, There are companies, they have reduced the salary to 70%. Okay, and there is no, there are some institutes, they even reduce the salary for the teachers up to 50%. Okay, so things keep work from time to time, and certain things has to have it's more like a Bible, but provided people are not necessary to follow the Bible at all the time. Okay, they always make use of the sub clauses, okay, and the compliances, whatever, matching for the current scenario. Okay. So that's how it is. Yeah, please.
同学有问题要发问哦，因为他们的制度实在跟台湾太不一样。你们有听懂吗？没有。
没有吗？
对，你
Yeah, please. Yeah.
OK， 这因为已经讲到比较细节，我觉得我稍微讲一下，就是他们的那个有关光工资的那个 code 就是法典哦，就是光工资的法典，你看它就有这个工资给付法，那个 ACT Act 就是我们的法的意思哈。啊，那个是1936年就定了，现在还在实施中。然后第二个那个是最低工资法，1948年就定，啊，现在还在实施哦。然后第三个是那个红利给付法，然后接下来那个 Equal Remuneration Act 那个是同酬法，就是类似我们那个劳基法里面不是同工同酬吗？叫做同酬法。那我刚刚很好奇，就是说对台湾来讲，我们的基本工资是不是就是定在一个条文里面而已？那我很好奇，是为什么他们需要定一个制定法，一个法来规范那个最低工资？很难理解哦，就是可能他们的法制可能真的跟我们太不一样哦。他刚才有讲到说，因为这次的那个疫情啊，有那个 work from home， 就是在家工作。他就说，像他们有这种在家工作就是那个地方的政府就会针对这种在家工作者，就会定新的法律出来，因为这是以前旧的法律没有的。好，所以呢，他就要定那个，比如说在家工作的人啊，你就没有那种所谓的 holiday， 你就没有假日啊，因为你就在家工作，想休息就自己到房间去休息，他们就没有所谓的 holiday， 就是他们会因应新的形态出来，所以他们法律应该就是一直在那个叫什么滚动式的调整，好，而且他们的那个联邦法感觉上就是一个 standard 一个标准而已，它真正在地方上适用的都是就是他们自己state law， 就是像美国的州法，或者是 county law， 就是我们的县市政府的自治条例这样子。就是比如说你今天如果是在嘉义县的事业单位，你可能用的是嘉义县的自治条例，就跟那个中央定的法律就没有什么关系，这很特别啊，跟我们台湾很不一样。OK， go ahead, continue.
And I also want to answer Professor again. So, for example, in Taiwan, we have a minimum wage. For example, is a taxation. So, once you graduate, even BA, you have a minimum wage, right? But in India, we don't have that fixation, which means, okay, I have two people. They are joining my company in India. Okay, now I'm interviewing both of you. That is something minimum for, let's take 20,000, young one. Okay, but you still can negotiate with me what salary I can give you. If he negotiates with me with his skill, I can pay him 25, young one coaching. Whereas if she doesn't negotiate much, I can give 20,000 for him. So same people, same position, but depends on negotiation. I can give salary for two different people. That's possible. It happens in India. So if it's government, public sector, it's equal.
Right.
There is no question. In India, it's equal. Wherever you go, you can find they follow the norms. But public companies are very, very less. The more number of companies are in private. So now they follow the minimum wages. So this particular act, when you go for the minimum wages, so they show how much high pay and low pay has to be there.
And you know what? Actually, same in Taiwan.
Okay.
Same in Taiwan. In Taiwan, if you're working for the government or public company, there is a rule for wages. So same work, same position, you will get the same pay. But if you work in the private sector, then you can negotiate your salary as long as it's above the minimum. Same.
The same thing happens. Yeah. But not as what is it? It's not so much difference. I see some kind of equality in Taiwan, but doesn't happen in India. Depends on the company and how they follow the system. The more the merrier.
In India, you don't have that. But you have an equal
Yeah, of course.
remuneration.
Remuneration, yes. These are all some basic things which has to happen. These are all basic things which has to be happen. Okay. So this is for the wages, and this is for social security. Okay. That is provident fund. We call something called provident fund. Like every month, a part of your money will be given to the government, and government will give some equal money to you, like keeping in a bank. So once you leave the company, the money will be given to you together. That's what calls a provident fund. And then maternity benefit, like someone is pregnant, a woman is pregnant, what kind of benefit has to be given for her? And then something called a payment of gratuity. Similar to provident fund, we have something called gratuity. So it depends upon the organization you are working, they will be paying you. And then there is something very specific for the construction workers. Construction workers. For your information, when I see in Taiwan, the construction workers in Taiwan are almost like 40 or 50 plus, most of the population. Whereas in India, you can find a very young population, right from 20 years or even below years. You can find, because there is so much of population with different education level.
You know why? Because young generation in Taiwan, they don't want to do anything. They don't want to work in construction industry.
Yeah, the skill force is very less here, very, very less, and they don't want to take that the kind of jobs. As you bring in Philippines, Vietnamese, in India, for example, I come from South. South is more educated than North. So now recently, for the southern region, to work in the restaurants, to work in construction, to work in manufacturing industry, they bring people from North. They're less educated to work in the South. So no matter they don't have the language, but they try to employ because we can pay less wages. If you want to pay a southern guy for $150 per hour, you can pay just $75 for the same work someone from the north.
That is so unfair.
I would say that that's how it works, where depends on how your company is running and how you trying to make your position in the market.
Okay, let me translate. 他说那个印度啊，就是南方人是比较有受教育的，教育水平比较高；北部的话就是教育水平比较低。那南部的，他们现在印度南部啊，那些就是蓝领工人，常常都是北部的工人来做。因为你一样一个蓝领工人，你在一个南部的公司你请一个南领的工人，你可以等于请2个北部的工人，就好不公平，对不对？对啊，就是在台湾是比较不会这样子。比如说我们在台湾这样说好了，如果在台北的餐厅，他请人出去餐厅里面工作，他绝对不会因为说你嘉义来的，说我薪水给你打对折，就是我们台湾不会这样子。但确实，如果说你今天是在南部的餐厅，有没有可能确实一样都在餐厅工作，可是南部的餐厅给的钱会比北部少？这是会，但是他们不是你的餐厅在南部或北部，而是一样都是南部的餐厅，可是因为你是北部来的劳工，所以我就给你薪水打对折。这一点是，我觉得他们国家的那个。Can I say this is certain kind of discrimination?
No, I would say this is kind of a group of people, they are ready to work for this salary. Right. There is a group of people, they don't want to work for this salary. So as a boss, they decide whom to incorporate for the minimum wages they want to work.
But is it possible that, okay, for example, I'm operating a restaurant in the south, and I pay the workers from the south better than the workers from the north. Okay. Is it possible?
Yeah, that happens.
That happens.
Oh,
Yeah.
but you can't keep both in the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then there will be a clash. You can't pay two different wages, right?
Oh, okay. So I
Yeah.
misunderstand.
Yeah, yeah.
哦，对不起，我听错他的意思，他是说，我现在懂他的意思，他是说，如果你的员工是北部来的，好，那你可以付他们少一点的钱。可是呢，如果你的公司里面也有南部的员工，他们还是要领一样的钱，不能说北部员工跟南部员工一起工作，然后薪水有那么大的落差。就是说，他们南部的雇主可能会比较 prefer， 就是喜欢雇那个北部来的，哦，这样子的话呢，我就可以节省人力成本。但是如果说你有北部又有南部的员工一起工作的话，同时在一个地点工作就不行。OK, go ahead.
Does that differ from the content report?
Different? Depends on the
your working content.
working content.
For example, you work for different things. Like people from the south, they are managers. They are managers, and people from the north, they are workers. Is that something that can get different payment?
Obviously, if you're being a manager, you get a different payment.
So that is depends on your competence.
Competence, obviously, competence.
So it's not because where you're from.
No.
It's because your competence.
Competence, and it depends on how you put yourself. Like, I'm ready to work for this salary. I can work for $100. Can you hire me? If a boss, I think okay, it's cheap, it's better. I can save my money. Okay, you can come and join me. As simple as that. But there is something base salary which always being followed. But the other salary depends upon who is interested to work with you.
But Danny, earlier you just said that workers can negotiate with the employer
Obviously.
salary, right? So it is still possible that even in the same company, but doing the same job, will still get a different pay, right?
Yeah, it generally happens. That's also possible, as happens everywhere in the world.
Yeah, so that's what my question was about. That if I operate I have a restaurant, I'm the boss, and the workers from the south, they are not willing to work for a worse pay. They want to have a certain standard of pay. But the worker from the north, they are willing to work for me with lesser payment. So it is still possible, right?
Possible, but again, what is that? If it's going to be like a more like white collar job, like we have blue collar, white collar. Right?
Yeah.
So for in the white collars, this negotiation is generally possible. For blue collars, I don't think there is a huge difference.
Oh.
The difference happens between men and women.
Men and women?
Yes, in India, men gets more salary than women if they're doing the same job.
And it's legal.
Yeah.
Oh.
But the government doesn't say that you have to give less salary for women. But the negotiation always goes for men. Even in higher position, wherever you see there is a huge gap.
哦，
You can just
然后
Google
说在印度其实那个薪资，那个男性女性薪资落差很大，而且好像也没有违法，就是政府没有说你可以这样，但你这样做好像也不会被罚。So there's no penalty if there's no equal work, equal pay for different genders.
That's what it's getting. What is that? Keep changing from time to time. But something when there is a basic thing you are qualifying, there is no legal intrusion. But above that, there's a basic pay for men and women. But
Right.
above that, if you are paying something for men, if you are paying low for women, no one will question you. It depends upon your employee. They have to question. But if it's following right from the construction work, even it's a labor work, from there to the government, or not government, but higher organizations, it happens.
Okay.
It's an issue, it's a general thing which...
Is it a culture thing?
Yeah, it's kind of a cultural thing.
Oh.
But it's getting better now. It's getting better.
Uh-huh.
But it needs more time for that equality.
Is it true or only a stereotype that women in India are not treated well? Is that true?
I would say, being in Taiwan, I would say yes, not treated. The equality still has to be maintained. Okay, but it's a long way to go. Long way.
好，这个大家有听懂啊？哈，就印度的女生真的是比较辛苦一点，真的没有被 被平等的对待。OK，go ahead。
So following that, we have other code here. These are the codes for the industrial relations. I don't know if you have come across a word called trade union. Okay, for example, you're all the employee of my company. Okay, now you all can group together, you can make a union. Okay, and you can raise your questions for the wages, for your support and everything. That's also possible. I don't think in Taiwan we have such in each company, but in India, if you have even last time we were discussing, that happened because of that. So people come to, all the employees come together, they found like a club, you know, like a club.
It is mandatory.
It's possible. We can't say that there is no. Whereas in IT, information technology, they don't have this union.
Why?
There is no policy. Because IT is some sector which came very recently, like less than 20 years. But so far they didn't create anything like from the government. Whereas for manufacturing and other sectors, the government support this kind of club.
Oh.
It's called trade union.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We have trade union,
Unions,
but
yeah.
it's voluntary. If the worker do not want to organize a trade union, nobody will ask them to organize together.
Yes.
It's voluntary.
Yeah. And again, in India, like different county, whereas in South there is a place where they have so much of union, and the union is very supportive. So there is a very less investment in that county.
Oh,
You got it?
OK，这很有趣啊。他说他们那个印度南部啊，就是工会很强啊。结果因为工会很强，所以那边的投资就很少，因为那个老板就不想去那边投资，因为工会很强。
That's very interesting thing. So that varies from place to place. So as a local person, you should know how to handle this. It's not an easy thing. Topic. Okay, we'll go for the next one. So these are all again different kind of act. Yeah, please.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
And it is, you have said about the IT industry, they don't have a trade unions, but it sounds weird to me because, in my opinion, it's like people who work in the IT industry, they are more educated, and I assume that they will be more aggressive and they will fight for their rights. And it just sounds weird to me that they don't have a trade
They are
union.
still fighting, but still there is no government policy to have a trade union for them, and that's one reason. In IT, you will be fired at. You have the companies have the right to fire the employee anytime, and the company have the rights to pay you so much money if the employee is working far better. Okay, so there is a complication. You can just even Google to find this.
So it all depends on the negotiation between the.
No, it's not. I would say it depends on the company decisions. So right now there is no trade union for IT.
Are you saying that in India, an employer is free to fire the employee?
Right now it happens in information technology. The
Only
IT.
in IT in industry.
No, that is free. It's free to do because if you see during the COVID, there are companies they just say that okay, we are giving these people are not providing any more jobs from here, so they can't take any legal rights. Okay, the company suddenly says you're not supposed to.
If the reason to fire employees is because of COVID-19, it's totally understandable. But what if there's no reason? I don't like you. I want to fire you. It's legal.
The thing is, they can't say in the letter I don't like you. They give some reason, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Now the thing is, the employer cannot claim a legal right. You know.
But if if I were the employee and I believe this is illegal discharge and I got no remedy, no legal remedy.
That's happening in the IT industry. There are few companies, few employees, they are filing cases. It's still happening. And one main reason they say that, oh, there are no trade unions for IT. So it's not that it's happening everywhere. There are some few cases. Okay, it doesn't mean that all the companies are doing this. Yeah, please.
So do they pay the penalty if they just unemploy them?
They give some remuneration, as simple as that. So as the policy in Taiwan, they have, suppose in Taiwan, if they recruit a foreigner, for example like me, and they say, hey, you can leave the company in 15 days. Okay, now if I'm doing a manufacturing work in Taiwan, they can fire me in 15 days. Okay, whereas if I'm a blue collar worker, like if I'm an engineer, okay, or a designer or a programmer, they need to give 1 month notice. Okay, so we have two set of policy in Taiwan, right? And the remuneration, they give a 1 month salary for engineer in Taiwan. Similarly, we have a different policy in India, and that also differs from company to company, but following the basic.
Well, in Taiwan, if you want to fire a worker, it doesn't matter if it's a blue collar or white collar. It depends on the worker's seniority.
Yes.
If the seniority is between 3 months and 1 year, then you have to give a 10-day notice in advance. But if it's between 1 year and 3 years, or 20 days, and it's more than 3 years or 30 days, it doesn't matter if you are blue collar or white collar. But in India, I have the same confusion. Very hard to imagine. In India, if it's an IT industry, then there is no government policy to support an organization of trade union.
So far there is no, but still we are working on that. The employees are trying to find.
But even there's no government policy to support, is it legal to organize a trade union in IT industry? Is it legal?
It's not yet legalized.
It's not legalized.
Legalized to have a trade union in IT companies.
Oh, that is very hard for me to imagine. Okay, 他说在印度的
They can do a research.
IT 产业就是那个工人，不管你是工程师，反正你就是在 IT 产业里面啊。印度政府并不支持组织工会，以至于就是如果在 IT 产业里面雇主要 fire 你就可以 fire 你，就跟同学一样觉得好奇怪哦。对啊。Yeah, that is very hard to imagine why you have such kind of policy. Because most people working in IT industry must be smart, well educated, right? And they must be more concerned about their legal rights.
For example, it's more educated. You're like 10 people. I'm telling I'm a boss. Hey, I will keep you. I will promote you. I will give you more money. I will take you to US. So you will think, okay, I don't want to join with these people, right? They want to benefit themselves. That happens generally with educated mind. I don't know, but right now we don't have legalized trade union for IT so far. Okay, so these the other things are some regulations. We'll go for the next thing. Okay, so now let's imagine I have a question for you. In your view, if suppose you are an investor, you're a foreign investor, you want to invest in India, would be the effect of the changes in labor codes to your business? In your view, do you think the present labor codes need some changes? Something like you want to change on the salary structure, or you think there should be need on some process change, or you need some financial implication knowledges, or you want to do something, there should be many more changes. Okay, I'm giving to you a choice. Okay, because after this session, if you have a chance to read some of the labor codes in India, then you can think. I would say everyone can take a small research, even a small, you can write a small article on different act. That will be very interesting, because professor is working towards the Southeast Asia. It will be very interesting if you'd like to know, oh, these things can be changed. This is something very useful. It will be very good. Okay, I'm giving to your decision. We'll go for the next. Okay, here I will compare some codes, and we'll see what are the changes needed in India. Okay, from our observation. Okay, when we talk about code on wages, there are different kinds of wages with respect to for managerial cadre. When we say managerial, it's called white collar. You know what is white collar and blue collar, right? So managerial, and then state government chain, minimum wage. Again, we have different states, right? Different states can have different minimum wage. Okay, if I'm in Taichung, I can get a minimum wage. If I'm in Taipei, I can get a different minimum wage. Okay, that's all depends upon the local policy. Okay, and even the penalty and prosecution. Suppose if you do something wrong, the fine, the penalty depends on which government you're in, the state government. Okay, so it's so much thing you can't keep in a single file. It differs from place to place, place to place. Right? Okay, and then code on social security. We'll have some comparison in the next table. I've given an idea if you want to take a picture for you to take a look. Later I can share with this file can be given to you. Okay, let's compare these two tables. Here, right now there are some changes given as uniform and wider definition of wages compared to the varied definition that existed. Under existing regulations, they have given some different wider definitions of wages. But there are something which is not to be addressed with respect to the PF, the Provident Fund, gratuity. Like as you know, in everyone's salary, a part has to be given. The government has to give some money, extra money, or the company has to give some extra money, which all counts. There is no clear definition. Still, it needs to be improved. And with respect to this Provident Fund, again, we have to increase the minimum salary. For example, you know, as even when Taiwanese company is looking for investment in India, when he says lower wages, you know what is the lower wages? I would say if a minimum taxation, a graduate from Taiwan, if they want to pay 30,000 NTD, okay, now it's going to get changed. In India, you can pay just 10,000 NTD to find a similar talent. 1/3. You can spend 1/3 of money to have the same talent. Okay, and that 1/3 is more than sufficient to be staying in a company, a long-term employee. They don't just keep on hopping to company to company. Okay, so number matters, right? When you pay money, higher salary, they will be in your company. So 1/3 of the salary is very much sufficient. That's one reason they want to move. The company would like to invest in it. And then gratuity. So here, when you're talking about 15,000, for 15,000 is somewhere around roughly 7,500. Okay, for this salary, you can have someone to work in office. Okay, I have someone to work in office, they can pick the call, they can see the email, they can say, okay, he can be a receptionist, he can be an office worker. Okay, so Chichen is more than sufficient. He can have a basic degree.
Even in the south?
I'm talking about both north and south. I would say the salary is more than sufficient. I would say some school teachers even get the salary. Some primary school teacher, private school teachers. So obviously, as he has mentioned, low wages, you can see how much the difference is when we compare with Taiwan and India. And overtime. When you say overtime, I think in Taiwan, if you work overtime, 1 hour and 2 hours, you're getting paid, right? So again, this is not defined. It's all about definition. It all defines in the law, right? As you are, for the graduates of law, it depends on how you are defining it. So it doesn't tell how exactly this overtime has to be. Okay, suppose I am a professor, I am working here, but sometime I need to work after 6 o'clock, I need to after 6:30, but I can't claim overtime. I am a manager, I work for extra work, but I can't claim overtime. So it has to be, it's not defined exactly in the law to state how this overtime work for this particular role. Got it? So there is so many things which has to be improved. Okay, and there is 24,000 per month for the same thing. If you take in India, if you have a county here, okay, let's take this county. This is more like Taipei. This is more like okay, it's even like a chai. Let's take. Okay, you know, professor, same educated person. If he works in that's also happened in Taiwan. But if I want to work in Taipei, I need to pay him at least 40K. That is 40,000. But if you want to work in Chai, I can pay 20K. Again, you have a more cheap labor in the beach region, but same education. Same education. If you want, depends on the city you want to work. So a company can go to a city where the wage is less, but you get the same quality of education people. That generally happens. It's very easy.
The quality of the The labor force probably is different.
No, professor. Actually, not speaking. Suppose if you have IT companies here, the majority of the employees are coming from all these places. They move here.
Oh.
Okay. So instead of finding a person, because now the salary, having the negotiation. The first negotiation, he says, "Oh, I live in Taipei. It's price. We're going to give you more salary." Now I find here I have a company. You live here. You can take 20K. He will also be very happy. That sounds reasonable. Okay. So
This is not a case in Taiwan.
yeah, I got it. But it's possible and it's working in India. Successful cases. Okay, these are about the wages, the salary you're providing. Okay. Now coming back to the industrial relations code, which means the number of workers. For example, if you're having 100 workers to 300 workers. So now, if you have a 100 workers, that is something that you can create your own trade unions. We call this trade unions, right? Okay. And if you have a trade union, they need to give a notice to the company 30 days before. Hey, I'm going to have some activity against the company. So I'm giving 30 days notice. So these are all defined in this particular industrial relations code. The second thing will be occupational safety. For example, that's a very interesting thing here. In India, as per law, minimum 48 hours per week is a working hours. Okay, which means 6 days. In general, Saturday is considered as a working day. Per hour 8 hours, so 6 days 48 hours. Okay, so generally it's 48 hours. It's not restricted to institution, company. It's implied for everyone. So even when in our organization, when we take interns or employees, so 48 hours is a must. You're working for 5 days, work for more hours. If at all you're going for 6 days, then 8 hours is a must. So I would say Saturday, it's not imagined to be holiday as in Taiwan. So you guys are lucky, yeah? And then 45 years, suppose if they're not, like they should have some free medical checkup for people above some age. They have to provide a checkup. Okay. But I would say it changes. It depends on company how they treat their employees. Now let's compare two things. Core activity. Okay, introduction concept of core activity. If there is a company, okay, I want to manufacture this. So there is some people who manufacture this. There is a set of people who manufacture the ink. There is some set of people who manufacture the printing. Okay, but what is core here? You know what is core? Core is a core activity of the company. So which is the core activity of the company now? This one, making the cap or the ink or the printing.
The printing.
Why say ink?
The printing is technique.
But it's a paint manufacturing company. Even it can be a ink. Ink can be the core activity. So there is no clear definition of the core activity. So if you have two people, you are working to manufacture the cap. She is working for manufacturing the ink. There is another person working for manufacturing for the printing. Now, there is no definition of core activity. So, I say, oh, this is my core activity, I'm going to pay more. This is my core activity, I'm going to pay more. You got it? So, it differs. Got it? And then, appointment letter. Oh, in India, we have, in Taiwan, the population is very less compared with bigger country. So, you have a number, like you have an identification number in Taiwan, right? In India, only now they are trying to introduce identification number. It's a huge country, billion of people, to have so much of data. So in India, it's not possible to check with one ID. They will ask different papers. Show me this paper. Show me this paper. Like I want to show my driving license. I have to show my local proof, the local city I'm living. They give a difference. A kind of local,
like a work permit.
Kind of, I'm not saying work permit. There is something called not work permit actually. It's we don't. Suppose if I'm from South, I can work anywhere. It's fine. but still I need some papers like a tax number, and then I need to have the local, I would say it's kind of a local passport. This may sound very strange.
Local passport?
Kind of, it looks like actually, which means that gives a...
You mean like a ID card, something like that?
Kind of, that gives a proof where you're coming from, which city you're living. And we can use of that same paper if suppose the government is giving some, for example, right now the Taiwan is giving $5,000 for everyone, right? So similarly, if the government is providing, I can make use of this kind of a book. I can show the local office and I can get the benefit if anything I need. So, and then I have a, yeah, please.
I'm curious about, have India done a population general investigation?
Education.
No, general investigation of population. Have India have done that?
General investigation.
General investigation about population. Have India done that?
Yes, it's doing that. Every 1 decade they used to do that. Every 10 years once they used to do that. So investigation on what basis?
Population.
Yeah, only the number of people,
Yeah.
or
Maybe just for the ID.
that we have like apart from all the things as an individual. I would say there are many complicated stories which it's not revealed from the government. Okay, and because the local each state has its own number. Okay, but not
number of population.
Yeah, number of population, the education-based women, men,
Gender.
yeah, gender, and then number of children and how was education. There are, but still the data are not much sufficient.
Why?
I would say it's not extensively studied because, as we have told, we don't have a proper identification. Because if you know how it happens in India, a person comes to your home, they will come, hey, how many people in your home? If I say 5 people, it's 5 people. If I say 2 people, it's 2 people.
Okay.
Okay, so and they have to, obviously the government has a record. If like as I told, like a local passport, like something like that paper has a number. But when these people keep changing, moving from place to place, as a whole country, it's not easy to follow. But at the same time, we don't have the worst data because a country like this can't run. But at the same time, I would say still it needs an extensive data. I would in Taiwan, if I want to search anything in online, everything is possible. Anything I can see in internet, it's everything is uploaded, but it's not the case in India.
You don't have a national ID number.
That's
You don't have a national ID number.
That
You
is-
only have a local ID number. Is that
what I'm talking, yeah. That is not even an ID actually. It's just a card. It tells you which city you belong to. And right now, the
It
government
doesn't
is...
have the information about your name, your gender, your age, your whatever.
That's the basic thing it has.
Right.
But there are many informations. I would say that with respect to education, it all depends upon collected from the institutions. So this year, all the colleges, they say, hey, there are 50,000 students graduated. Okay, the government says, okay, 50,000. That's it. So the number comes from different resources. The government doesn't get involved. Hospitals, the hospitals say 20,000 COVID patients. Okay, government says 20,000 COVID patients. So it's not centralized as in Taiwan. The Taiwan government, it can access all the data right in computer. But it's not that happens in India. It's all about people have to say. People have to say. But now it's getting trying to move to the online. But it takes a long time. Again, different states, it's in different progress.
Very hard to imagine.
Very hard, yeah. It's more like an inventory management. It's very hard. Right. And right now, the government is trying to provide a national identity number. They have the scan of the eyes and your thumb finger scanning. They are developing, but it's not yet finished. But it will take a long time again.
So then if I live in India and I move from this city to that city and to another city, so I probably have a lot of local passport, right?
Yeah, that changes. Once
Yeah,
you
but-
move there, living there for long term. Why?
Right.
Because if you don't have that local book, whatever you're living, you are not eligible to vote during the elections.
Oh, I know. But my question is, if I move from CTA to CTP to CTC, so I will have 3 local passports, something like that. Is that, or when I move to CTB, then the local passport of in CTA will be invalid. You
Yes.
know?
If you want to get that local one, you need to give up your A.
Oh, okay. You cannot keep 2 together.
You can't keep. You have to give up the A to get the B. But probably that generally happens when the whole family is moving from place for the job. They are going to live there for a long time, so they have to give up. You can't have 2 different addresses and tell them they are living in 2 different places. Just one city you can choose. So that's where generally, suppose if I work in north, I come from south, so we make sure in south my name is registered in the south, which tells that I don't want to keep changing, because it's not easy to, if anything happens, you want to go to the government or anything, this is very essential. Okay, that generally happens. So for example, if my mom, dad and my brothers, they are all living separately. The brother has a family, mom and dad is living separately, they have a different book, mom and dad. And brother's wife and children, they have a different book, which should be registered differently.
很像户口名簿，对不对 ？It's like a, do you know 户口名簿 ？You don't know, right? Yeah， 我觉得很像户口名簿的概念，就是你 register 在，比如说我的户口在我设在中正大学里面，所以我的户口名簿上面就会显示我跟我的小孩住在这里，然后我就可以在这边投票，然后我就可以在这边领各式各样，比如说嘉义县有什么样的东西可以领，我就可以拿着这个户口名簿去领。Yeah, I got it. Yeah, we have similar system. Yeah, but it's not a passport. It's like a paper proof that how many of you live in this house or in this condo, and then where are you from, or who are you, and what is your age, and what is your gender, something like that.
I think it's the same thing. I call it as passport, but it's not a passport either.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's more like an identification.
It's not for individual, it's for household.
Yeah,
right?
household.
Yeah.
That's where, but whereas in Taiwan you have the card, from the card you can pull all the information. But we don't have that in India so far. But they are just building. Right.
So if you want to go to the hospital, you also have to bring that with you?
Not actually. So far we don't have that.
Okay.
So that is just now provided for so like if I want to go to if I want to get my passport, or if you need a government job.
But if you want to go to school, you want to attend the elementary school, you need that book.
I would say that book, the local book is needed. Good. So there are certain kind, like for example, if you want to have a leave encashment, which means I have some leave, I can work on that leave days and I can get the cash back. But those items are also not explained very well in terms of wages. For example, if the leave exceeds 30 days, okay, more than 30 days, there is a time limit. You are supposed to take the leave within this year or within this period. If you're not taking that, the cash will not be given to you. I think we have some similar policy in Taiwan also. Okay, but again, it varies from company sometimes, and also the state. Okay, there are some. How does it impact? Okay, and here I would call these are the meaning and inclusions. For example, there is a basic pay, there is an allowance, 2 different kinds of allowance, and exclusions, specified exclusions, where whatever given in blue color, that are some exclusions which is given depends upon the performance. For example, if they want to provide a house rent allowance, okay, house rent allowance are not provided by all the company for all the employees. Okay, I think I'm not sure if you have in Taiwan. Suppose I have a company, she's working for me. I pay some, she has a salary, but I also pay some money for her for the house rent.
No.
That doesn't happen. Not for any job in Taiwan.
Usually we don't have this situation.
Okay, in India we have, that happens for different, I would say not for the labor or the construction workers. We have for the white collar jobs. For example, my brother, one of my brothers, he is a manager, he entitled this. So along with salary, the company pay him the rental.
Oh,
Yeah.
we do that. I think you said that it combined with pay. Not individual, not independent.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even that provision is not for everyone. That's what I'm trying to say. That depends on the company and depends on the position they would like to offer. That's how it is. And overtime allowances or a commission payable, like a commission when it comes for a sales job. If I'm selling 100 products, I can give a commission, 10%, 15%. That is also depends on the company. Which the company chooses the number. But that is something minimum. Okay. And the conditional inclusion, which inclusion is which all should be considered. Okay. For example, 1/2 other percent has to be notified or shall be deemed as a remuneration. Whatever excluded here, there are certain cases which can be included on a different notification. Okay, which can be, suppose if instead of 15% want to give us a sales, what is that, special allowance, they can give it as a remuneration. Like instead of giving 15% after finishing the job, every day I can give you like a $100 or $200 for you, something as a name called remuneration. Okay. So it's pretty, as a layman, I would say it sounds like more complicated, but being a lawyer or who follows a law, they could know how to make things work. There are some basic things which we can't move, but above that depends on the company.
Why do you like the definition of which is so complicated?
I'm sorry, not myself, but it works that way. That's not very easy actually to put it in a
I
single.
know. This is from the local law.
Yeah, local law.
So you don't really have a federal definition.
Definitions also. So even when I say 15%, remuneration does not exceed 15%. For if you want to give a remuneration, that should not exceed 15% of the total wages payable to a person. If it is 30,000 as a minimum salary, it should not exceed more than 15% of the person.
So complicated.
Not actually, but still, yeah. So that's why when people running their company in India, the maximum, at least they should be in the ground for more than 15 to 20 years to understand how this works. And that's why when we talk about the investments, the local partner matters, how they have handled their previous conditions, how knowledge, the way you interact and how so much of information they have can give the confidence for any partnerships when it works with. If you know, in successful cases in India, Japan, like we have a brand called Hero Honda. Honda is the Japanese, what is it, partnership in making two-wheelers. Right now, still in India, two-wheelers and four-wheelers, the maximum market is being occupied by Japanese technology. Now, the Japanese company bring the technology. Okay, they provide the technology. Now, the Indian partner, they provide all these kind of facilities. How to hire the people, how much wages, how to do the sales, how to improve the market. So, this is how the partnership works in India. A person from Japan, if they want to control everything, I hire the people, I will pay the money. Now, it's not easy for them to understand, and it's not easy for them to handle if there is a problem.
Can I do some explanation? 其实各位同学，印度的那个 market 很大，印度有14亿的人，就跟另外一个中国是一样的。那其实我们台湾的厂商 对于打开印度这个市场是充满了，又爱又怕受伤害。为什么呢？因为印度人很难了解哈，因为我是最后遇到 Dennis， 他讲话之后会这样摇头，摇头是 yes 哦，在印度摇头是 yes 哦，点头是 no 哦，所以那个跟我们就是很多，我刚刚在上课之前跟 Dennis 聊天啊，我们很多观念是完全不一样的。我是讲的是印度跟台湾，所以我们台湾很多厂商虽然实在是太渴望得到印度那个市场，但是呢，10个台商去，大概都7、8个以上都阵亡，即便是上市公司去都会阵亡。你知道为什么吗？刚刚 Danny 点出一点重要，日本为什么能够成功在印度去拓展它的市场？因为日本人知道他永远没有办法了解印度人，你要了解印度人，那是不可能的事情。他们印度人自己都不了解印度人。他刚刚有讲啊，印度它有很多的 state， 就是各州里面又有 county。印度人跟印度人之间共同的语言是英文哦，他们的用印度话是没有办法沟通的，因为他们的语言太多，然后他们的生活习惯、文化价值也都落差很大。所以说呢，对于印度人自己来讲，其实他都没有办法了解自己的同胞了，更不要说我们的外国人要去了解印度人，那就连想都不用想了哈。所以呢，像他刚刚讲Honda，我们在台湾，Honda，我们中文是翻成什么？本田，是吗？台湾现在Honda的车比较少，Toyota比较多。那Honda呢，在日本呢，就是一个成功的个案。那之所以能成功的原因，就是Honda当时就是他跟印度合作，就是我日本的Honda，我只带进技术 technology， 我只带进技术，至于 local 的管理，我们要请哪些人来工作，要怎么管理，要怎么给他们这些薪资条件，全部都由你们印度的伙伴来决定。我们日本的这一方，就我们只带进技术，我们不去 involve 这种 human resources 啊，什么的 labor condition， 这个都由印度的伙伴来处理。那这样子有什么好处呢？因为只有印度人知道怎么去管理印度人。去年还是前年啊，我们台湾有一个很大的上市公司，叫什么名字？去印度啊，然后发生罢工。等一下，我找一下。你们知道那件事吗？Danny, you know, maybe 2 years ago there was a big company invested in India, and there was a strike. There was a strike.
From Taiwan, right?
Right. Do you know?
Wistron.
微创，对。
WIS.
他们上市公司带着大把的资源跟银子去印度设厂，结果搞没几个月啊，哇，就一塌糊涂，就是罢工啊，劳资争议啊。为什么？因为我们台湾的微创把我们台湾的这一套人力资源管理的制度带过去印度，想要管理印度人，那当然是大悲剧啊！你台湾的这套制度怎么办法去管理印度人？不可能的，你就是要让印度人去管理印度人，你不能让台湾人管理印度人。所以呢，其实虽然说今天主要是希望 Danny 介绍一下让我们介绍一下这个非常复杂的印度劳动法，其实不是劳动法复杂而已。整个印度的事都很复杂，所以我们今天如果台湾的厂商想要去打开这个印度市场的话，你只能用印度人去管理印度人，也就是说，我们跟印度的合作呢，就是在印度的这种破点呢，绝对没有办法把我们台湾的所谓的Taiwanese way、Taiwanese style， 我们的方式、我们的风格带进去。一定是 big disaster， 一定会大灾难的，因为我们没有办法。Okay, then you understand? Okay, go ahead.
This picture will be very easy for you to understand. Okay, so here, this is called all remuneration, I call it. Here, we call it as specified exclusion, which all can be excluded. This is an example, okay? And this is something called conditional inclusion. It's should be included. Okay, so this is the total wage. For example, the minimum wage has to be 8,000. Okay, this is HR allowance, human resource allowance is 4,000. Okay, this is all in INR, which means Indian rupees. Okay, one typing is equal to 2.5 Indian rupees as of now, as of today. So it's almost half of that, you can imagine. And then DA means daily allowance. Medical is just 1,500 NTD per month. And commission is 4,000. Conveyance is 5,000. So it's somewhere around 25,000 as a basic pay. Okay, so this basic pay can be given to a fresher. Okay, if he's working, as I mentioned, in Taipei, they can work 25,000. Suppose if the same person would like to work in somewhere in Chai, still you can reduce to 15 to 20,000. It's possible. Okay, but this is how the law says that. This I'm talking with respect to a graduate. Okay, and suppose the 4,000 extra 4,000 can be given. Okay, here we have this HR, commission, conveyance, right? So 13,000 is an exclusion. May or may not be given. You got it? So how much you reduce from 25 to 13? It's around only 12,000. Right? And 50% of the total remuneration, which means out of 25,000, you are paying this 50,000, right? 50%. Okay, if you reduce it, you will get only 12,500. Which means you can hire a person to provide 12,500. Okay, if your company is willing, not only willing, as per law, you can give extra this 13,000. Okay, so that he can give 25. What I am trying to say is, a person here can get 25,000. Okay, the company is willing, which means it's not mandatory they have to give 13,000. So the company here, they can take a person to give just 25,000. I mean, sorry, just 12,500. Which means this 13,000 may not be included. Need not to be included. You got it? So that's the difference we can find. How two different graduates in two different city or two different companies, they are getting employed following the same wage. Then that is the case. The minimum wage is 12,500. Okay, if you want to think, the minimum wage is 12,500. This 13,000, it's a conditional inclusion or an exclusion. You got it? You can include it or exclude it, depends upon the company policies and everything. It all differs. You got it? Now you know how this wage is working in India, having the low, when we say low wages, comparing with the country and comparing with cities and companies. Right? This is an example. Okay. So, Professor mentioned that we can have some Q&A. How about everyone in this room can ask any one question with respect to anything with India, law, labor? We can have a discussion. I'll be very happy. One question from everyone. Yes, sir.
Everyone?
One question. They can raise some one question. I'll be very happy.
Okay.
Anything related to India, I'll be very happy. Yeah.
什么都可以问哦，跟印度有关的哈。很难的。Okay.
Try your best. Yeah.
Go ahead.
有人可以帮你们有那个翻译 they can help you. Okay. Yeah. Who's the first one? Yeah, please.
I am a little confused about the minimum wage of India. Is that the minimum wage will change based on the scale of the north and the south labor? If there is 2 south labor and 3 north labor, or versus 5 north and 3 south, the minimum wage will change.
The minimum wages?
Change based on the scale of the north and the south labor.
Not actually. It doesn't change. But again, the company, as I mentioned here, so this is what? There will be some minimum wage. Okay, there is something called exclusion and inclusion. They call it like you can exclude it or you can include it. So that will differ on the company and the negotiation of the employee. Right? That's how it differs. They don't give very cheap, you can't give a very cheapest money to person and work. There is something minimum wage, they know. If I'm working and my friend is working in another company, the friend in other company, same city, he says, hey, I'm getting 10,000. And I say, oh, my company provides only 7,500. Okay, I move to your company. So these two companies, they know they have to provide the same wage or they lose their employee. Right? So they follow these rules, they follow the same thing. Okay. But the thing is, someone who comes from north to south, for example, they come, why? Because they come here, they think the north is not providing the money salary, but they could get a better salary for the same work. For him.
I originally think that there is difference. If there is more South law manual, the minimum wage will change based on no.
No, it's not. It's nothing. Law doesn't interfere. Honestly speaking, we're talking about law doesn't interfere. Law always asks for equality, but things changes where they have this benefits of inclusion and exclusion. Okay, and depends upon the negotiation power. Okay, that there it differs. Right?
I understand.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. The next question, please. You. Yeah.
Danny, we don't have that much time.
Oh.
We may only allow one more question.
Okay, sorry. Okay, is there any question? Yeah, please, yeah.
That means you don't that means the state don't work against the federal law because you don't have federal law.
We do have federal law.
Does that happen if the state goes against the federal law?
That never says that it will be against. Okay, federal law is always more like a basic policy.
So it tells you the direction, and for the detail you decide by yourself.
States, yeah, it depends.
Got it.
The same thing. For example, I'm an IT employee. I work in Chai. I get a different salary when I'm working following this local policy. I'll give you one example. What happened, Professor, like North, a particular county, recently they proposed a case where if you're going to hire, I'm going to have a company. For example, imagine I'm going to register a company in Kilo. Okay, the Kilo says that you're going to start a company here. You should get 10% of your employee only from Kilo. You got it? So they say that for specific positions, you should choose the employee only from Kilo. If you don't find an alternative, you can go for someone to get it from the other place. But this law is not followed by all the states. Got it? So this is just an example. Okay, so that's how it differs.
我觉得印度的制度这样听起来，我觉得他们的联邦法应该就是一个很基本的，就像一个指引一样，但是它不会有 details， 它不会有细节，所有的细节都由各州自己去定，或者各个 county 自己去定他们的细节。所以呢，就像刚刚 Danny 说的，我这边你要来我这边。来我这一个 county 搞一个 IT 的公司工厂，那我就可以要求你啊，你雇佣的员工里面一定至少要40%都是我这里的人，就是一个保护政策一样，就是这个就是我觉得就是那个地方政府的 power 其实很大，就是我们在台湾很难想象嘛，比如说今天如果想象一下，哪个公司要来我们嘉义县设厂？结果我们嘉义县政府说，你要在我们设厂可以哦，但是你的公司里面要一半的人都是我们嘉义县民，那大概我们都会觉得不可思议，这个县长应该是疯了吧？可是这个事情在印度是可以发生的，就是我们觉得很奇怪，甚至有时候觉得 ridiculous， 但是在印度是有可能的，就是不以 一样的文化，不一样的国情嘛，哈。OK， yeah, I think that will be all for today. OK， 好，那我们今天就差不多到这边，我们中间没有休息哈。那我们再一次哈，就是用最热烈的掌声来谢谢 Danny。然后呢，机会很难得啊，哈，我们中正大很少能够请到我们印度的学者专家来演讲，所以我们大家一起照个相好不好 ？Let's take a photo together, OK？ 但是大家都要入镜，请我助理下来照相。我们要怎么照？想一下。Maybe you sit here.
Yeah, sure.
OK， 就是我们都不要动，好。你还是很多，有没有人会那个叫什么自拍？那你。我不会自拍，有没有会自拍？就是可以拿着那个照相机，然后就可以把大家拍进去。有人会吗？有没有会？哦，你试试看，我不会。
但是大家可能要靠近。
对，靠近一点，靠近一点。OK，let's get closer. OK。要靠近来一点哦。Good。大家都进来了吗？如果还没有入镜的，对。OK， 你可以坐这里好。可以吗？大家都进来了吗？
还要再进来一点。
好。
1、2、3。
One more。
大家要手势吗？
好。一站。OK。Thank you。Danny, you are very welcome to come back again. 好，那各位同学请记得要填那个回馈单哈。那如果有什么问题的话，都可以。